thought I was doing everything right. I brushed my teeth every single day. I used mouthwash religiously. I bought expensive toothpaste with all the right labels, whitening, enamel protection, sensitivity relief. I did the whole routine morning and night without skipping, and yet something was clearly, unmistakably wrong. Every morning I woke up with a bad taste in my mouth. Not overwhelming, not unbearable, just there, lingering, like something rotting quietly in the background. Sometimes my gums bled when I brushed. A little pink in the sink, a little red on the bristles. I told myself it was normal. I told myself it would pass. I kept buying better toothpaste, brushing harder, using more mouthwash. And still, month after month, nothing improved. That's when I started noticing the other signs. The ones I had been unconsciously hiding from myself. I realized I was avoiding talking too close to people. In conversations, I would subtly turn my face away without even thinking about it. When someone leaned in, I would hold my breath. I started smiling with my lips closed in photos. I covered my mouth when I laughed. None of this was dramatic or sudden. It crept in slowly like a habit I never chose but couldn't seem to break. And the most confusing part? I was brushing my teeth every single day. So why did my mouth feel like it was getting worse instead of better? That question sent me down a rabbit hole I was not prepared for. What I discovered completely changed the way I understood oral health. And honestly, it made me realize that most of us, myself included, have been doing things slightly, consistently, silently wrong for years. Here's what almost nobody talks about. The destruction of your teeth almost never happens all at once. It doesn't show up suddenly one morning. It builds slowly, invisibly, through small habits repeated day after day after day. Habits so common, so widely practiced, that we assume they must be correct. We learned them as children. Our parents did them. Our dentists never said otherwise. But some of those habits are quietly working against us. The first thing that shocked me was learning how bacteria operate inside the mouth. They don't announce themselves with immediate pain. They work in silence, over months and years, breaking things down gradually. After every meal, especially after sugar, acidic drinks, or processed foods, the bacteria in your mouth produce acids. Those acids begin attacking the enamel on your teeth, slowly and invisibly. And the terrifying part is that this erosion can go on for years before it causes any real pain. By the time your tooth actually hurts, the damage is often already advanced. So the problem isn't that people are lazy about brushing. The problem is that brushing alone doesn't address what's quietly happening between meals, during sleep, and in all the small moments throughout the day when we're not paying attention. One of the most common mistakes I discovered, and one that I was making every single day, is brushing your teeth immediately after eating. I did this without question. Finish a meal, go brush. It felt like the responsible thing to do. It felt like good hygiene. But here's what I learned. Right after consuming acidic foods or drinks, your tooth enamel enters a temporarily softened, more vulnerable state. If you brush during that window, usually within 30 minutes of eating, you're not cleaning your teeth as effectively as you think. You're actually spreading those acids across the enamel surface and accelerating the very erosion you're trying to prevent. The recommendation from oral health specialists is to wait at least 30 minutes after eating before brushing. Drink water first. Let your saliva do its natural job of neutralizing the acid, then brush. I've been doing the opposite for decades. It's a strange and uncomfortable feeling, realizing that something you genuinely believed was protecting you was actually causing slow, invisible damage. That's the nature of these habits. They don't hurt right away. They don't give you a warning sign in the moment. They just quietly accumulate over time. Then I noticed something else about the way I brushed. I pressed hard, really hard. I had this instinct that more pressure meant a deeper, more thorough clean. The harder I scrubbed, the cleaner I'd be. That's what it felt like. But what I was actually doing was traumatizing my gum tissue and scraping away enamel. Over time, aggressive brushing causes the gums to recede, exposing the more sensitive root surface of the tooth. It causes tiny abrasions. It creates the exact conditions that allow bacteria to dig deeper. And the bleeding, the gum bleeding that so many people experience and quietly accept as normal, is almost never normal. It's inflammation. It's your body sending a signal that something is wrong and needs attention. But we've normalized it so completely that most people see the blood, rinse it away, and move on without a second thought. We learn to ignore the warnings. We normalize the bad taste in the morning. We normalize the sensitivity when we drink something cold. We normalize the bleeding. We normalize the mild bad breath. We call it just how things are. And in doing so, we miss the early signals that, if caught in time, could prevent serious damage down the line. This is the part that hit me the hardest. Not the physical damage, the emotional weight of it. There's a particular kind of shame that comes with suspecting your own breath. It's quiet and constant. It changes the way you move through the world. You pull back from people without fully realizing why. You stop laughing openly. You become careful in social situations in a way that's hard to explain to anyone who hasn't felt it. You brush your teeth. You use mouthwash. And yet the doubt is always there, sitting just beneath the surface of every conversation. That's not a small thing. That's quality of life. That's confidence. That's the ability to be fully present with other people without a part of your brain constantly monitoring the distance between your mouth and theirs. And nobody talks about it because it feels embarrassing to admit. So people carry it silently, hoping it will resolve on its own, and it almost never does. The more I learned, the more I started to see how many modern habits quietly undermine oral health in ways we never connect to our teeth. Constant coffee and tea consumption, sugary snacks throughout the day, not just at meal times, carbonated drinks, including sparkling water, which is more acidic than most people realize, chronic stress, which reduces saliva production and alters the bacterial balance in the mouth, poor sleep, which similarly affects how the body regulates inflammation. Even certain mouthwashes, when overused, can destroy both harmful and beneficial bacteria, leaving the mouth's natural ecosystem unbalanced and more vulnerable to problems. We think of oral health as something managed in 2 sessions a day, morning and night, and then forgotten about. But the mouth is a living environment. It's constantly changing, reacting, balancing and imbalancing based on everything you eat, drink, feel, and do throughout the entire day. And the state of that environment affects far more than just your teeth. Chronic gum inflammation has been linked in research to systemic health issues. The bacteria that thrive in an unhealthy mouth don't always stay in the mouth. Oral health is not cosmetic. It's not separate from your general health. It's deeply, intimately connected to how your body functions and how you feel every single day. What I started to understand was this: most people only seek help when a tooth already hurts, when something breaks, when the pain becomes impossible to ignore, when the damage has already progressed into something serious and expensive to fix. But the body and the mouth almost always give signals long before it gets to that point. The morning bad taste, the occasional bleeding, the mild sensitivity to cold, the subtle shift in confidence when you're close to other people. These are not random inconveniences. They are early warnings. They are the body asking for attention before the situation becomes severe. The problem is that no one teaches us to read those signals in time. Here's what I learned works. Not dramatically, not overnight, but consistently over time. Waiting before brushing. Moving with gentleness instead of force. Paying attention to what and when you eat throughout the day, not just what you consume at main meals. Staying hydrated, because a dry mouth is a breeding ground for bacterial imbalance. reducing the habits that constantly feed an acidic environment, the constant coffee, the frequent snacking on sugar, the fizzy drinks that feel harmless but accumulate, and perhaps most importantly, learning to notice the early signs and take them seriously instead of dismissing them. None of this is complicated. None of it requires extreme changes or expensive products. It requires awareness, which is the hardest thing to develop when you've spent years operating on autopilot, following routines you learned as a child and never questioned. The guide linked in the description breaks this down practically, showing exactly how to interrupt the cycle of bad breath, gum inflammation, and enamel erosion before it progresses into something much harder to reverse. Because understanding what's actually happening inside your mouth changes everything. You stop guessing. You stop feeling like you're failing at something basic. You start making choices that actually work. The part that I find most important in all of this is something simple but easy to overlook. There's almost always still time. The enamel erosion, the sensitive gums, the persistent bad breath. These things begin building long before serious damage sets in. And when you catch the signals early, when you actually understand what they mean and what to do about them, you have a real opportunity to slow the process, protect what's left, and gradually recover the health and confidence you've been quietly losing. Damage accumulates in small steps, but so does recovery. And recovery begins the moment you stop ignoring the signals and start understanding what your mouth has been trying to tell you all along. If something in this video resonated with you, subscribe to the channel now, because in the next videos, I'm going to keep sharing the kind of discoveries that most people only make after the damage is already done. Discoveries about health, confidence, and how to protect your body before problems become impossible to ignore. Because the truth is, most of this was preventable. And for most people, it still is. The Fixed Comment has a simple, practical method for anyone looking to combat bleeding gums, protect against tooth decay, and rebuild the confidence to smile without fear.